Like you can get something from me, and that shows like I truly want to help people, regardless of whether I'm being paid. And I've walked people through programs that they didn't even pay for, and just kind of help them that way, because it's like the idea is just to get more people involved and help more people be healthy.
To the Brick Built Mindset podcast. Thank you all for tuning in and subscribing. Today I have the pleasure of bringing on a guest who I've watched for a while, and within the last few months I've had the opportunity of connecting with via Instagram. He is known for putting out some amazing educational content with the kettlebell, as well as exploring end ranges of mobility and strength with his body. I'm honored today to bring on Dre Mays, aka Every Goddamn Dre. Welcome to the Brick Built Mindset podcast, man. What's going on?
Ain't nothing much, man. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Good, man. I mean, like I talked about before, man, it's an honor to have you on the show, man. I've just admired you from a distance, and then, the ability for us to connect via Instagram, it brings me, much joy, man, seeing both of us in the industry, and then to see your growth from, watching from afar to actually being a chance to connect has been amazing, man. So I want to give you your flowers today. You're doing your thing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. But just, kind of a quick introduction. I want you to kind of share everybody, a little bit about your journey and what really got you into this fitness industry, man.
So growing up, I played a lot of sports, big athlete, college football player. So I've always been around into the fitness thing, but it was always kind of constructed based on my sport. Mm-hmm. So I really got into like actually training as I started to transition away from the football thing. I started to get into training myself a lot, and I started working on just different training programs, and I got really into it. I got really interested. So I started researching how I could better different things for myself. And after a while, I was able to get to where I wanted to. I realized I wanted to also help other people do that.
Yeah.
So I kind of transferred my passion from football into fitness, and I kind of just let everything flow over. So as I continued to learn more and kind of built up on where I wanted to do with my own fitness journey, I was able to help other people do the same, just by relating to them and understanding how they get them from their journey as well. So it's kind of how it went.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like full circle, Me also being a collegiate football player. You played ball in college, right?
Yeah, I played ball.
Yeah. So what position did you play?
Running back.
Oh man, we would have been enemies. I'm an inside backer, so we've been going at it. But yeah, man, it's amazing, kind of like that journey of playing sports. I think that fitness is probably the closest thing that will kind of scratch that itch that you have, and it's amazing. I'm the same way, man. Getting into fitness was after football, after playing ball, and having that camaraderie and having that same level playing field of activity. It's been amazing, man. I'm sure, like your background with becoming a trainer and training other people, that has really kind of helped probably fulfill you, right, in a lot of ways.
No, definitely, because definitely, because you gotta somehow fill that blank of what football used to give you.
Yeah.
So like that's what fitness has turned into me. Like I get just as much joy out of helping people accomplish stuff than I do myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was so used to.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where you felt like, with that transition of playing ball to, now servicing people with fitness, was there ever a moment you felt like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my purpose. I'm sure growing up, you thought pro ball was your purpose.
Pro ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, right. I would say right in the beginning, as I saw like how effective I was able to get people to kind of change their lifestyle, and how I don't think and football is weird. Like I was never a talker. Like I wasn't a motivational guy. Like I just showed up and played. Like that was my game. Like I just, and the same thing with my training. And a lot of people are like no nonsense. They don't need all the hype, all the like loud camaraderie. They just need to understand like where we're going and where we're starting. Like from that. So I saw how well that worked with people, and I was like, oh, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just kept going and pushing from that angle.
That's awesome, man. I think that's that just goes to a testament. Even watching some of your content, you can see like like I'm just saying, I don't think there's a lot of need for like instruction, and there's not a lot of need for
No, no,
talking. It's more people don't even read half the time anyway, right? They're like, can you show me what I'm
exactly.
supposed to be doing? And those who take a step further, or obviously become clients, or they become a little bit more close to you when it comes to training. But that's so true, man. I think that's amazing that you're able to connect with people without having to do all the fancy, like, talking and instructional stuff. Which
Yeah.
it goes to a testament. I think the work's in the doing, man. So that's amazing. Was there ever a moment you felt like you had to walk away from that, or do you felt like fitness, or being in this entrepreneurship? Was there ever a moment you felt like you didn't belong in the field, or you felt like outside of being not, I won't say depressed, or has there ever been a moment where you felt like there was too much for you, or was a struggle to get into this field? Because it is hard to be in the fitness industry as an entrepreneur.
So I mean, had a lot of success with before online training. I had a lot of success with in person training,
Mm-hmm.
but I still carry clients that I had. So I worked at like a small time gym when I first started training, and then I worked for Equinox for like 4 years. So
Okay.
I was there for a while, built up a client base, and still have clients, and I still see people in person. And I kind of like built my training through that. My online, I never really felt. I don't think I felt the pressure of the online stuff because I never got into it for a need. Like, it was just truly to help people that I couldn't help and connect with
Mm-hmm.
through the internet. It was just more so expanding. Like, I've been doing all this stuff that I'm doing with people with my in-person clients, but
Yeah.
now I'm able to showcase that globally without having to physically be there. So it kind of just enabled me to do that and actually still train in person. Like, I was never, you see some people get into it and they need it to work right away.
Mm-hmm.
And it never really works that way because you can't just get into something with a need for it. You're too anxious. Then you putting a clock on it when it just needs to be like gradually work. So as I was still training in person, and I still train in person. Like, at some point, I was training almost 40 hours a week in person.
Wow.
And now these days, I'm still more like 15 to 20. And it's less the need for it, it's more the experience and like being in the field. It's like I still need to be like, I'm still learning. I'm still dealing with people with different limitations that are inspiring me to explore more movement ways and more ways that I can kind of challenge them to get stuff done, which is where all my content comes
Yeah.
from my actual work. So I don't think I've ever really felt the pressure because I never really took it that serious, but it kind of
Mm.
blew up, which is crazy. So you kind of have to put more effort into it from that aspect, but I never really put too much in it. Everything that I was doing was from what I was already doing. I was just pulling from it and just giving it to people.
Yeah. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
There's so many little nuggets in what you just said, man. It's amazing to see that, because people that don't necessarily know that, or know the industry, they're
Yeah.
thinking in their head like, oh, this guy just hangs out in the gym and he makes these amazing content, or
Yeah.
he just started pressing record, and
Yeah.
to hear that, man, I think that's great for people to know that it's not something that you are just willy nilly doing. It's actually like a reflection of the art and the time and the dedication that you've put in to the sport of being a trainer, and to the sport of spending that dedicated time making programs, creating different ways to reach people's goals with limitations. I think that's something that's not often talked about in our field of work of being a trainer. Is like, there's so many people that come to you with things that they want to accomplish, and then they have an even bigger list of things that they cannot do, right? Like, it's like, I have this limitation, I have this immobility, and then our job as trainers to kind of work through that while still keeping them motivated, keeping them disciplined, keeping them, having accountability. So yeah, man, that's amazing to hear that. It's amazing to hear that you never felt the pressure of, having the online presence or having this remote presence. How you kind of got started into that? Was that just because the clients were remote and like you had moved or switched jobs?
But because when COVID happened, I was training in person less.
Okay.
So now I had time to, like, I was working out. I had more time to work out for myself, which was not always the case, and I had more time to kind of film stuff.
Yeah.
So I just started kind of filming a few exercises here and there, and I just started posting them. It was just, and everything, you probably could tell from watching, everything was always from like a workout. I
Yeah.
wasn't going and just shooting. like me moving, like everything. I'm always like sweating. I'm like dying. Everything was always from a workout because I was like, I'm not gonna like that's not organic to me. Like I'm not gonna go like the way I wanted to present content wasn't to go and create something. I wanted to take something that was already from my creation of me doing what I was doing and just to give it because then it's raw, it's authentic. This is like real. Like people see me do it and they see how I'm struggling with it, and it's like they can relate to it rather than when we just sometimes we create stuff and we give it to them as just like instructional. Like that works for some people, but a lot of people they got to see it. They got to see you do it and got to see like, oh, I can see what this is working, and then they follow suit. But more so when you kind of like there's different types with different people, but I never wanted to be someone that can talk someone into exercise.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's a lot. It's not. It's not many people you can talk into. There's so many people that are just like, I see your stuff and I see how it just makes me go. And I was like, that's what I wanted, and that's why I mean, for the first couple of years of me being on the internet, I never really talked. No one heard my voice or anything. Yeah. It was just me like working out.
That's good though, man. I think like you said even earlier, it's like the work's in the doing, right? Like, you know, it's so true. That's funny, man, because like I think people listening to this and they follow your journey, they're like, yeah, I don't think I've ever heard Dre's voice. Like, and that's all right. That's why we're doing this podcast, right, man? But it is amazing to see how much success you've had, and you know, I don't want to say like our industry is kind of like it's trendy or it's, you know, it's kind of gimmicky. People do the pop-up videos of like, oh, hey, watch these 3 moves, you know, and I think that's great because it does capture attention. And if you have a message behind that, it's like, that's the clickbait that you want. But to have, you know, the success and to have the influence that you have, without having to do that just speaks volume to the work that you're doing, man. So that's amazing. With that being said, have you ever found yourself, like, I don't know, I want to say like, have you ever found it hard sharing your fitness with the world or anything like that?
I wouldn't say, I mean, there's the pressure of, I guess you get more pressure of it when it's not actually what you live. Mm-hmm. Like I'm pretty good at not sharing. Like I don't think I share everything, but I share kind of like the journeys of what I go through because I mean that's the storyline. Like that's mostly what people can relate to. Like if I only gave the good and I only gave the results, like if I only gave, like it's like it seems like it's fake. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like there's no way you had constant success. Like. But you got to show people like, yeah, I struggled through things throughout this journey. So I never really had issues sharing because that's what people relate to the most. Like the full image and the full journey of you. Like kind of like I'm very shut off with my personal life. Like I share a little bit of my girlfriend, I share my dogs, share like food, but a lot of different stuff I'm like shut off to because my page is mostly fitness but it's only the part that I'm okay with sharing.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, man. I think that the people that, you know, I think people that do that and they share like, you know, day in the life, it's like, is that truly the day in the life of your, is that what
it's not,
do, right?
It's not.
It can't be because everybody has the same day in their life. You know what I mean? We all live the same. And it is funny, man. I think people do that so much. And I've noticed that from your page, you know, just from the time I've been watching is that it is authentic. It's organic. I think that's what draws people in that truly are about that message. Now, you have people who are just living vicariously through you, which is fine, you know, whatever helps people get up in the day and get some moving, but there has to be substance. And I think your page and a reflection of what you show is substance. And those that are closer to you know that's the real Dre. You know, I think that's so amazing to see that in our industry and in, you know, being with somebody that is close in that realm of like, all right, this is what I do. And I'm showing that. It's not like, all right, let me go set this tripod up real quick. Let me get myself prepping for the first time. Let me make sure, you know what I mean? And that's cool. Like people do that a lot. And I get it.
It's the industry, but it's, for me though, it's just because I've had a few friends that are in the industry as well. And I see the persona and like the image they put online. I'm like, that's just not you.
Yeah, exactly, man.
It's weird though, because sometimes it becomes them because they've built this image and they get reactions from it. They get people to engage in they get whatever the compliments, they get the ego boost, and that turns into them. And I probably unfriend some people with that because I'm like, all right, that's fine, that's you, but the person that I was friends with wasn't this person, and you know what I mean. So it's easy to say like, oh, we kind of grew in different directions.
Exactly.
But now I never wanted anybody to look at me like, especially because as you grow, like there's people that's following you that's known you since you were like, and that know you now. So you want them looking at you like, that's not you.
That's not you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I never wanted that feeling because I know how I looked at people like that. So I'm like, no. And especially because there's people that I care about that looks at my stuff and I'm like, oh, he's having success at being himself. And there's nothing more authentic than that.
Exactly, man. That's amazing to hear that. Is there anything that what's one thing you've learned from yourself from, the success of sharing your fitness or your mindset when it comes to social media? Like what's one thing a positive that you've learned about yourself? Because there is positives to what we do and sharing content. There's a lot of good to it besides, all the bad that comes with it. What's one thing you've learned about yourself?
Mostly like in person. I'm big. I'm like not a people person, but like in reality, like with helping people when it comes to like getting people to be able to do something that they can't do, I'm actually like big on people. Like I actually care about like helping people get to their goals or becoming a better version of themselves. Before I was just like, I'm not big. Because I don't like crowds. I don't like being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not very talkative unless we're talking about something that's like purposeful. Like I don't like bullshit conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like but you have some of those like you have with your close friends. But like we're meeting and like I want it to be something useful. Like what are we learning from each other?
Mm-hmm.
So before I would say I was not big on that, like with people. But I'm actually the more I like connect with people online, I'm actually really big on that. And I see that more so when people reach out to me and they just tell me what's my stories or whatever I did for them. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do more of it. So I'm trying to connect more and more with people instead of just being closed off and shut off in that department.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's awesome.
Nah.
That's like, I'm sure that probably brings you a lot of fulfillment, man. I know it's probably
it does. It definitely does.
That you never thought you'd be doing, and you look up and now you're being of service to so many people, and the power of the internet, you can reach so many more people. I mean, look at this podcast. We connected because of the social media and the influence, man. So
social media,
that's amazing. Yeah. So to kind of shift, man, segue into a little bit more of what we're talking about today. Just kind of do my research on you, man. I see the amazing, the background you have and what you stand for. And it's true that you are, a walking reflection of your work and, diving onto your website and, you have IAH, man. I think that's so powerful. What brought about the meaning behind IAH, which is integrity, attitude, and hustle? What mindset that you developed that? Is that something that you brought along from your previous sports background, or is that something that you developed now with your training and your lifestyle?
I think it's a mixture of kind of everything that I've always kind of embedded in myself through the people that I work with, or just working in general, from football to working more of like Equinox is a gym, but it's like more of a corporate setting of gyms and working on my own. It's kind of like the things I felt that I needed to have to be able to get through that journey. Mm-hmm. And kind of be able to have it. So I put those things in line: integrity, attitude, and hustle, because those are the things that got me through my journey of working from part-time to full-time to entrepreneurship. Those are the things that got me to be able to having those and making those be like the forefront of what kind of trainer I was, helped me be successful. So that's where I kind of got with that.
That's brilliant, man. I think, I think you can see it too whenever you look at some of your training and some of your stuff that you do share with the internet and you share with us as followers. Is that something that, those three models of character, do you think that's something you instill in some of your clients that you've been working with for a long time? Is that something that you want to kind of reflect and influence into them?
No, definitely. Because it's more so about just having a purpose behind everything and not cheating yourself or not cheating people. in general, because some people you don't even have to connect with on different levels. But if you're honest, people could can feel honesty. They can feel like not being screwed over by like those gimmicky like there's in the training world. There's so much of lack of integrity. It's just it becomes more so about how much money can I make or how much then the integrity is lost out of it, and that's huge. Like you can see it people content. Like I do pretty well through my online stuff, but I don't heavily promote my stuff because it's like I don't want to seem gimmicky, addy. Like I'm not my page is not an ad. Like it's informational. There's information for people that want to buy something. There's information that people that don't want to pay anything.
Yeah,
like you can get something from me, and that shows like I truly want to help people. Regardless of whether I'm being paid. And I've walked people through programs that they didn't even pay for and just kind of help them that way, because it's like the idea is just to get more people involved and help more people be healthy.
Yep.
And that looks different for everybody. Not everybody has the ability to pay for something, or not everybody's that type of person. They may be somebody you just connect to, say something to them that may have changed them directly. Yeah. So that's why I say, yes, I feel like it's something that I impose onto a lot of people, because I feel like if more people had it, a lot of things could change in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if more of us were of service, man, you're right. If you would approach things as I'm going into it, how can I serve this person? I think you would get much more fulfillment back, and much things that you can't even obtain as far as like money or things. I think it's a feeling, man, for sure.
It's definitely.
That's beautiful to hear, man. That's definitely something that we wonder about people when they are in this industry. It's like it is hard to see until you have a conversation with some people. You're like, are you really being authentic? Are you really in this for the fulfillment, or do you see dollar signs? Like making money is great, and nobody can argue that. Making a living is great. You do have to survive, but I think that there's more to it the deeper you get into it, and I love hearing that from somebody else, especially somebody that I do admire. Man, the kind of segue.
You see that though.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You really do.
And you see it because you kind of like my biggest thing. Like I don't work with a lot of brands because I don't I don't want my page to seem like I'm just doing this to get a check from them. Like no, any brand that I work with, which is 2 brands that I paid for before I worked with them. Like
that's awesome, man.
Buying from them.
That's cool
because the money's not in grabbing brands. Like I have people. Young influencers hit me up all the time. How can I get brand deals and brand deals? I was like, you are your brand. So if you start making your page all about other brands, brand this, brand that, brand this, brand this. Oh, like, you're showing you can be bought. Like it's not really about grab the titles and all that stuff. So I'm like, my brand itself produces enough. I don't need to take anything to build somebody else's brand, because my page is all about me. It's not about me promoting this or promoting that. If I can do it naturally, like the shoes that I wear, like I wear them. Like this is religiously. Yeah. Like I got like 100 pair. And most of them I paid for. So like if I can just do it, but they're on my feet. But if I gotta like show all that's too much. Like it's not organic. So I'm like, can't do it. But that's why the message has to be consistent. And people read into that. Like people see that. It's so crazy. People message me and they notice that. I was like, so I was to ever switch up and start doing, I'll get called out.
For real, that's a good thing. That means you got the people that are in your corner.
I'll get called out.
You got to have a no person. They got to have a no man. I think people forget that. You got to have a no man. Somebody that's like, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. You know
exactly.
what I mean? You got to have that person for sure. Exactly. That's beautiful to hear, man. Honestly, I think, having that mindset, like I love what you said, that you are your brand. That's something that I established back when I first started my business, was live your brand. And I think that encapsulates what we're trying to represent. Like you're trying to be your brand. Like, that's you. That's the one thing you can never be stripped of if you align it with your core values of integrity, like you said, attitude and hustle. You'll never be stripped of that. So that's amazing, man. I think that, kind of going into the next topic, how do you feel like, we talked about this, like, being Black men in this industry. And if you look up, there's not a lot of us. There's not even a lot of African Americans in the fitness industry that are truly trying to send a good message, or not necessarily trying to get a check. And I think I recognized that early, and just to kind of shine light on it. Do you feel like being a Black man in this industry has ever benefited you or hindered you? And I know that's probably a loaded question, but do you feel like it's ever benefited you or hindered you in any capacity?
I mean, I guess it's kind of like double-sided. I guess it could be both. I don't know how much have I experienced on hand as far as like hindered me. Like I wouldn't know. I guess I wouldn't know if somebody just doesn't take interest because I'm a Black male, or they perceive me as, because like you said, there's a lot of nonsense within our lane of fitness, especially when it comes to like Black males. Some just have pages where they do X and Y and Z, and when it comes to being respected for the knowledge piece of it, I feel like the push for me was to really go in that lane, because I didn't want to be just looked at as like, oh, he only can do this because of the way his body looks.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's like, no, I actually have the knowledge behind all of this. Yeah. And I could help you do this regardless of how I look. I look this way because I actually do what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to push that angle. And I felt like, if that was the angle I was going with, it was probably harder to get into that. Like, you really have to show, like, there's so many people that think that I was like, a PT or like an athletic trainer rather than a trainer, because I take such a like rehab approach of like pain free and like, but that's just me and my journey of myself. Like, I've dealt with a lot of injuries. I dealt with a lot of limitations. So that's where my training was at. So that's why my training looks like I'm trying to avoid injury or work my way through injury. So I guess I don't feel like I've dealt with any, because I kind of stay in my lane. So I kind of stay in my lane that way. So it's like, I don't really feel like I dealt with any of that.
Has any other like Black influencers reached out to you, or any other Black like trainers, and ask you like, hey man, like how'd you get in the space, or what advice would you give to me?
No, because like you said, like now that you said that, I'm starting to think like the ones that I know, they're like I feel like they're in a different fitness field than me.
Yeah.
Like I can connect with them because we relate, because we're Black males, but like they're totally in a different fitness lane, and not like it works for them, but that's just not my route.
Yeah.
Like, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's just not where I'm at with it.
I got you.
If I went that route, I don't think I could do it. Honestly, it just wouldn't be me. So I couldn't that way.
I agree 100%, man. I definitely felt the same way. I think it is lack of education, and that's okay. Like, it's a lack of exposure, but it is like kind of like that, like chasing the bag approach. I think that does happen a lot with just people in general, but I think especially Black men. I think, or Black women as well. I think it's more like, I gotta get this bag, and I think it does take people like yourself, kind of like standing out and having the authentic approach, because it does shine light. And I'm, as a proud Black man, I love seeing that, which kind of like leads to my last topic before we go into our last few questions. What does it mean to you to see other Black women and men in our industry, doing their thing and taking an authentic approach? Is that something that you kind of, smile at, or is that something that is really helped motivate you? Or do you feel like it's something that you don't even pay too much attention to?
A little bit of all of it, because like you said, there's so much. It's so hard to comb through. Like, there's so much nonsense out there. Yeah. But I like when I see something and I'm like, oh, that's real, and that's like. And there's been a few times where I connected on a level of like, I've kind of supported businesses where I was able to pull from these different businesses and do things through with them. So, but then you start to really get to know what people run their businesses like. And a couple of them, I was a little bit disappointed, because I'm like, all right, if I'm supporting you, like, I felt like the business piece should have been there a little bit better. So, but like, that's just a whole nother topic, though. So, there are some that I really vibe with, where it's just different lanes. There's so many different lanes of entrepreneurship in the industry, and you find people, and they're like real. Like, I follow some people, they talk about financial literacy, like different stuff, and they have success in that field. Yeah. Fitness industry, not so much.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely harder to get into, because I think it's just like uncharted water for a lot of us. And it's amazing to see pioneers like you, man, kind of going through it and have success, not only like, with your business side, but just like your overall approach and authenticity to the actual field and industry, man. So I do appreciate you as another Black man. You do give a lot of us hope in that sense of like, all right, it's not saturated. It's not, it's not saturated at all, which is amazing. So, I appreciate your time, man. That's something that I stole from another podcast that I appreciated. And it's called his is the Fast Five, and mine's is called the Last Five. And these are 5 questions that I'm going to ask you that you can answer with one word or one sentence. And, take your time. If you need more time, we can always circle back to one of the questions. But, the last 5. First one is, what is a saying or quote that you live by?
No, it's a tough one.
All right, we'll come back to it.
I got a lot. I feel like I got a lot when it comes to that. So I don't know. That's
all right, we'll come back to that one. What is something, or what is it like? What's something that you've found to be incorrect in your journey of your career? Like, what's something that was like debunked or that you necessarily didn't think was true, or you think is not true now, but was true when you first started your career?
In fitness or just in general?
Fitness.
That's a good
one. We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that.
All right. This one's easy. What is your source of inspiration?
People, my clients. Just in general, like I feel like I pull inspiration from pretty much everything that I encounter. Like I pull inspiration from people I see on the street, people I see hustling to do whatever it is they do. I pull inspiration from all of that.
That's a good answer. All right. What is something that you thought mattered but doesn't matter anymore?
People's opinions.
Love it. Love that. I concur that. I second that. All right. We'll go back to the first 2, and then we'll finish with the last one. The first one is, what is a saying or a quote that you live by? The first question I asked you.
Hard work works.
Like it. Love it. All right. What's something that you thought what's something that you found incorrect in your career? Like something that is no longer true?
So I'll say this. This biggest thing is I thought to be a trainer, you had to have the most knowledge. And
love that.
That's like the biggest false narrative. Like there's so many trainers that I know that have all the knowledge in the world that can't connect with people.
Yeah.
It's a miss. It doesn't really happen. So it's like, I always thought I needed to know all of this to get started. And it's like, no, you only needed to know this amount. And as you grow, you continue to know what you need to know as you go on a different journey. So that's one of the things.
I think I'm going to steal that question from you too, man. That's something that I agree with 100%. I think they kind of ran on this one. I think that the interpretation of knowledge is subjective. And I think that people think that in our field, you got to have 30 acronyms behind your name, and you don't. I think it's that. Yeah, I think the work is in the doing for sure. All right, my last question. For sure. My last question, man. This is something that it's more of a. You finish the sentence for me. I feel most confident when I blank.
When I train, I guess.
Oh, I love it. You got a kettlebell in your hand.
Man, when I'm doing what I love. Yeah.
I love it, man. Awesome. That was Dre's last 5, man. I appreciate your time again, man. To give you your flowers one more time, I do appreciate you not only being a Black man in this industry, man, but also shining light on the amazing things that you continue to do, not only for the world of fitness, but for social media, to kind of be that bright light that is authentic and organic, man. Just continue doing what you're doing. I'm glad that you cut out a couple minutes of your day to chat with me. I hope to do it again. I know we talked about connecting in person. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait until it get a little warmer up there for me down in Florida, man. But again, I thank you for you. I'm in Tampa.
Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa. So if you ever want to come work on that melanin in your skin, you come holler at me. You come down here. We could throw some bells around, have a good time, man. But again, man, I do appreciate your time. We'll definitely connect. But is there anything that you want to share with the people before we end this podcast?
No, I feel like we covered
it all. All right, for sure, man. All right, guys, go check out Dre. I'm going to link everything as far as his social media, his page, and I will link his website as well, so you guys can go check him out. All right, man, I appreciate your time.
All right, man, have a good one.